And I didn't record this at the beginning, but we're starting to now because we do want to make sure that this is something that's shared or we're able to share it. Thank you, Byron, for that. And like I said, there are 63 pages of detail tied to all of this. So, empowerment is something that the organization is very good at doing. Um, and it's probably one of the best places I've been as a volunteer in terms of where, and Byron, this may have been your experience as well, being able to accomplish so much without having someone say, I don't know that you could really do that. I don't know that too many people have indicated to me that they're afraid of losing their jobs or their status or something based on what I have done or have been able to accomplish. And I think that's probably true for a lot of us. We're able to do that. So thank you very much for sharing that. Anyone else want to come off and think about and share with us some of the resources that you have identified in the volunteer in any of these aspects of the volunteer cycle that you think are going to be important for you in 2023?
I think all of them are, Deborah.
Okay.
They're all important, and every state and every team, staff and volunteer team together are going to have different areas where they're challenged and other areas where they excel, which is what's so beautiful about this chart, is that you can clearly see the cycle as you expressed it and where we need to focus. So I think we're all going to be different in that, where we need to focus and where we're challenged.
Okay.
I
Well,
like
thank
that
you.
chart.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Bettina. Um, from a fast track perspective, I don't really want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask this question.
Mhm.
What are you all thinking about for this year in terms of being able to assist for 2023?
Well, as you know, we have those 3 foundational sessions that orient a new volunteer and experienced volunteers. We're going to continue with those.
Mhm.
And we're really fine tuning and laser focusing our virtual campus sessions and our master classes to encompass things like advocacy, caregiving, all of the things that are important to AARP, as well as areas where lots of volunteers have indicated an interest, and that's things like graphics, PowerPoint creation, video creation, and things like that. So those will be kind of side sessions as well. We've had a lot of requests for that. So that's our focus for 2023. And if I may, on the
Yes.
19th, we're having an advocacy focus, and the Vice President of Volunteerism and Service for AARP Advocacy and Outreach will be there, Reshma Mehta, and Will
Mhm.
Stoner, the Director of Outreach. So we're going to talk about what is advocacy and how can I get involved.
Great.
And is it okay? Can I put the link in the chat?
Absolutely, please, because that's what we want to do is share information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Dr. Mary, would you like to proceed on?
Sure. And before I do, I just want to again thank everyone for being here today. And um, if you could just rename yourself to include the state, like many of you already have. It's so good to see who's in the room for your colleagues, because you may say something and someone may want to reach out to you and reference you by state as well when they take the wonderful information back to their organization and their volunteers. So just rename yourself. And if you aren't able to do that, just put it in the chat and Deborah will do it. Or if she makes me a co-host, I'll help by renaming people too. So the question that I have, well, I have several, but I'll start by asking, in light of reengaging current volunteers, is that a concern for your state and your region? And if not, what are you doing that works in re-engaging volunteers? And I know that we've spoken about this in past sessions, in passing, but this is an opportunity for some of you who have some tremendous best practices that are working in engaging or re-engaging your volunteers to share that. So to repeat the question again, is re-engaging current volunteers a concern for you at this time? And if it's not, what are you doing that works? And I have a second part to that, but I'm going to type this in the chat for those who would like to see the question and let some answers start coming in. Anyone want to raise their hand or respond to what you're doing to work on re-engaging your volunteers? Or is that a concern that you're finding is challenging or not challenging? Millie, you want to come off mute and let us know?
Sorry, I was on mute, sorry. What we do is, like if we have an art museum event that day, or if we have advocacy meeting, or like whatever we have where the public is, is going to be there, that is a chance for us to let them know, they're not there for the giveaways and the free food. That's our chance to see if anybody would like to volunteer. We have their attention, we have them there. They want to be there. And we get a lot of our volunteers that way. So any little event, if when we went to the Hispanic Center, when we went to the museum, it's always a chance to recruit. We look at it like that. And we really, we have pretty many volunteers right now, our group, and we follow, we're doing like a whole new revamping of how we're doing it. Like we don't let any of the new volunteers work by themselves. We always, go on a buddy system, and we ask them, what do you want to do? We learned that in one of our trainings that we had, I believe with Bethina, to build the hamburger. So that's kind of how we do it. We get them in, what do you want to do? And leave a little room, maybe later on, if they only want to do one or two things, maybe later on, oh, that looks interesting, maybe I'll do that. So we just build on it. That's kind of what we do.
Very good. Thanks for sharing. And those are some wonderful ideas. I know Pennsylvania has some very active teams that engage new volunteers, and I'm appreciative of you sharing that with us, Millie. I also put in the chat what the questions are. And I added another one. What resources might you need to minimize volunteer loss? Are there any resources specifically that could help retain volunteers? And if so, are you using those, or are those some that we can help provide you?
Dr. Mary, if I could just make a comment here, and I want to piggyback on what Millie just said. One of the things that we are trying to do here in Virginia is we have a flyer that has a QR code on it that if they click on that QR code, anyone who is interested, it would take them directly to an opportunity to register to find out more information about volunteering. I am in the process of trying to convince anyone who tables to take that flyer with them should the opportunity present itself to convince someone that they can do it right there at the table. They don't have to, there is, if they're not comfortable with using QR codes, there's also the web address link that can sign us up. But we here in Virginia have and I attribute to this idea to Jesse Chambers, who has moved on up the ladder in the Office of Volunteer Engagement. But Jesse has trained a volunteer, if you will, to be the recipient of all these connections that are made. She does an interview with them and talks to them about what they might be interested in, and then tries to get, you know, a good fit. And then she puts that volunteer, whose name is Claudia Eccles, who has been on these calls a time or two in the past. She makes contact with the appropriate ASD, depending on where in the state they are, to let the ASD know, the outreach ASD know in that area, that this is a person who's interested. Then there's a connection there, and so on and so on. But I just want to say, in terms of re-engaging volunteers, that I think one of the most effective things that we've done, and I think other people who have done it will agree, is now that the pandemic is over, getting volunteers together sort of as a reunion to get reignited and re-excited about volunteering, because we have a whole continuum, not just in Virginia, but people who only want to do virtual outreach kind of things, and people who don't want to have squat to do with anything that relates to a computer, but want to do in-person things. So we try to meet the needs of or the requests or the preferences of all those people. So thank you for just letting me stick up. Oh, and let me just say that now that Jesse is working for the Office of OVE, if you have any interest in establishing in your state a volunteer to be a volunteer screener kind of thing, to take that workload off of the staff, I know Jesse would love to talk to you all about that. So reach out to her. And I don't mind, because Jesse used to, and she might be on this call today, because Jesse was always at these meetings as well.
Mhm. Yes, Jessie was, and thank you very much, Joyce, for bringing her name up. I just got off a call with her because she's helping us do some things related to the cultural leadership development series right now as well, for our DEI training. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Joyce. Yeah, that was not only a great plug for some of the volunteer engagement that you have. And I know Deborah's going to ask this, but I'm going to ask it for her, would you be willing to share a copy of that flyer with the QR code so that she could put it in the portal as an example, if you have that?
You're on mute, Joyce.
Sorry, I was looking around to see if I had just a hard copy that I could show you real quick. I'm going to go off screen and see if I can't find it in my documents, and maybe shoot it to somebody that can shoot it to everybody else. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons I'd want to say this again. One of the reasons we ask you to register now once is so we get your email address and we can provide you with information that you are requesting or hoping to see. Things like the recordings when we do them on YouTube so that you can listen to that. The materials like Joyce is asking for. And we just had someone ask a while ago about that 63-page document. I'm not going to send that to you by email because I don't want to tie up your email or maybe overwhelm your servers, but we will post that document in the chatter group that we've got for the exchange. And I think, Mary, you've got another question. Did you put in chat here? Do you want to bring that one up?
And Joyce, well, I think Millie even referenced it, that they have current volunteers help new volunteers in the buddy system. And I was just interested to know if that's a common practice for others, and how effective that has been in not only engaging new volunteers, but re-engaging current volunteers, because it gives them something to feel that they have value to add to a new volunteer coming in. So anybody want to speak about that? And while we're waiting for someone to respond, I just want to comment on Darlene Reza Rossi said that she liked what Joyce said about reunited and re-excited. And I think that is a good mantra for us because we are all we have that wonderful continuum, like Joyce said, of we can either be virtual for those who are comfortable doing that. Those who want to be in person, we have that opportunity and anything within that spectrum. So it's almost like we have a brand new AARP spectrum that we get to work with. Mary, I see your hand up.
Yes, and I just wanted to say that we had developed a few years back a peer mentoring program for that very purpose, to match up a seasoned volunteer with a new volunteer, and kind of like a buddy system. And like, I know I did this with one new volunteer in particular, and it worked really well. I mean, it's just nice to have a face that you know, when you go to a meeting or when you go to volunteer at an event, that you can just kind of count on, or somebody that you can ask questions for. And I think it's really a good program, and I'm hoping that we can get that going again. But I'm all for that. I really think it's valuable to have that kind of a situation.
It is, it really is. And Mary, what state are you from?
Oh, I'm New Hampshire. I'm sorry. I just joined late. Excuse me.
Okay, great. New Hampshire in the house.
And
Anyone
it's sunny out.
Oh, great. Any other comments about what's doing that's working to re-engage, or what resources you have or might need, or what you're doing to assist current volunteers to assist new ones? Any of those answers to those questions are on the table?
Just wanted to let Joyce know that I sent her a chat message. I do have her recruitment flyer that she sent to me a while back, so if she wants me to put it up there, I can.
I'm sure she appreciates
Wanted her
that.
permission first.
Darlene, I see your hand up.
By all means, Bettina, do.
Yeah, it's the one you sent me a while back.
Yeah, well, we haven't changed.
Okay, great. There you go, everybody.
So, you see it in action, how we have these resources that we share and we reshare them. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Me too.
Darlene?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that I think that one of the things that's really worked well for us is having present volunteers engaged in the recruitment of bringing on other volunteers, or discussions with those that haven't, returned to us. So I think we're going to do it again, but last mid-year, we ended up putting on a volunteer recruitment virtual event, and we invited, ARP members and others to come and, be on it. And we had about 34 people that registered. And we did a presentation, the staff did, but the most important thing that we did was that we had volunteers on there talking about the experience with ARP and all the different things that they do. So we had, we selected volunteers and they gave a presentation on what they're involved in and how much they like that. So we did end up getting, about 4 or 5 volunteers, new volunteers from that meeting. And then recently, as we're going back in person, because we spent most of our time, and we'll continue to do a lot of virtual this year, so we are recruiting for virtual tech folks. But another thing that we did in trying to get the folks that always prior to the pandemic loved to volunteer with us at our in-person events, they've kind of dropped off the face of the earth. But what we did was have our state president reach out to them, and now we're having other volunteers reach out to them to see if they want to come back and engage with us, and giving them the opportunity, a list of things that we plan on doing, so that they can come back to us. So, you know, some of the folks, I'm sure many of you have experience as well. You know, they were great before the pandemic and then never came back. But ma'am, it's the time to, you know, call them back up and say, hey, we're back in person, or, you know, we're going to be doing this, and just wanted to see if you want to come back to us. And then lastly, we also have been putting out, and everything that we do, we have a direct mail flyer goes out quarterly that talks about all of the events that we're doing and other opportunities, but we always put a plug in there about volunteerism. And I just got a phone call yesterday from someone that saw that and is interested in our livable work, and had a great conversation with her.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important that wherever you are touching folks, that you make sure you put that plug in to come along and volunteer with us. And again, where you can have a volunteer call them and be in part of the process and give their side of the story, you know, that's always a big plus. So they hear it from out of the mouths of the people that are actually doing the work.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Darlene. And Millie, I see you have your hand up.
Ron.
Hi, Ron.
It's my turn this time. Well, Millie already mentioned that we got quite a few more volunteers. We lost some during the pandemic, and now we've got, we're up to like 60 volunteers now. So we're trying to find a way of getting them all engaged. And actually our ASD formed a survey that she put out to all the volunteers to see what they were interested in doing, how often they were interested in doing things. And we have two spreadsheet gurus in our group. And the one spreadsheet is going to have on every volunteer's name, plus if they want to be a leader, in what category they want to be leaders, in what category they want to volunteer. So it's quite an extensive spreadsheet. And then also after that, I'm starting a spreadsheet that's going to indicate every event we have, who volunteered for it, who the leaders were, who the volunteers were.
An after action, I think.
Yeah,
it's
like
after
we're calling it an
action.
after action report. And we want to make sure that people aren't left out. We want to make sure everybody's engaged, and the leaders will know who is missing out and who to call for the next events. So that's how we're structuring it right now.
And sometimes there could be two leaders, say like Movies for Grownups. There could be two leaders in that. So the leaders get together, decide who's going to do it. Again, it's a great opportunity. When I was the leader of the last movie, I got up and before the movie started and spoke about volunteering. I said, just see one of us in the red shirts, you know. It never hurts to have that chance to recruit people. This sheet so far, the spreadsheet seems to be working out, I think, really good, because we have people that just want to do card writing, that don't want to go out in the public, and we need those people as well. I mean, they're very, very important to us. So yeah, we're loving the new way we're doing it, and it's working out.
It sounds very effective, and I know within this group of 53 people that there are some ears that just perked up when you said spreadsheets, because there's some of us that love a good spreadsheet. So before Deborah asks you again, I know that if there's some way to depersonalize that, of any information that people may not want shared, or if you can just provide the template, I'm sure others would love to see what that looks like, and Deborah can put it in the portal.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I just want to share a couple of things in the chat that Darlene said that she forgot to mention, is to connect with your local chapters. Many have meetings that volunteers can attend and speak of other volunteer opportunities. That's a great suggestion. And Mark mentioned that the first thing that they're doing in North Carolina is holding a volunteer portal training. So all volunteers are level set everyone understands that communicating through the portal is the way that we're doing things as opposed to email. So I think that's also a wonderful idea to get everybody on the same plane. Thank you so much for your comments, Joyce.
Well, I
Yeah.
just wanted to, you mentioned chapters. I would say do more than just reach out to your chapter. If there's a chapter in your area and you're a volunteer, join it. Because in our local chapter here in Roanoke, Southwest Roanoke, we have, well, our chapter's pretty small compared to some, but we have, I'd say 45-ish members, and a full quarter of them are volunteers and are part of our Southwest Virginia volunteer team. So, don't just reach out to them and say, hey, we need volunteers. If you're a volunteer and not a member of a chapter and there's a chapter in your area, join it, by Granny, because it is a treasure trove of potential volunteers.
Okay, Joyce, I never heard that term, by Granny. What does that mean? I like that.
What the heck? By Granny.
Is that a Virginia thing?
I couldn't speak to that. I just know it was
It
in
just
my
rolled off
family.
your tongue.
It was on my family. I mean, we just, it was maybe I've heard people say by God, and I guess my faith would keep me from using that.
So by Granny.
Or by Granny, yes.
Well, you put a smile on a lot of people's face with that one.
Sure did.
And I have to tell you in the chat that flyer is getting a lot of attention. There's some questions about how to create it, and
Well, that would probably be another
Jesse.
Jesse Chambers question,
Right.
because
Yeah.
although I know Bettina also knows about creating QR codes, so
Right.
she may be willing to do an in-service for us in one of these meetings that could show us how.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bettina, I should have probably asked your
Listen.
I could have said that out loud.
I'm from South Florida. I am so used to being voluntold. You have no idea. I would be delighted to help in any way. No problem at all.
And I know Deborah's going to move us along, but Deborah, let me get some of these things in the chat. That New Hampshire is starting a snack sample and service all for 3 of the communities over the next 3 months. And this is a wonderful recruitment tool. And I know we need to know more about that, Mary. So if you want to either provide something to Deborah so that she can put it in the portal, that would be helpful, because I know we're kind of running short of time and I want to turn it back over to her. Let me see what else. Mary, we had a pre-pandemic meeting. It was called Sample and Soiree. It was a great way for people to come learn about volunteering. So it sounds like people are doing similar things to that. And Bettina put a link in the chat for the portal group for the exchange as well, from the exchange. So anyway, Deborah, I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to you.
Okay, but you've been doing such a wonderful job, and everyone is just so excited today. I'm really glad that we're looking forward to 2023. This is going to be a chance for us as volunteers and staff to soar. I just feel that we're just going to do great things. So thank you all very much for all of this. And I do want to give you just a little bit of some of the things that are coming up. Well, actually, there's really one big thing. Most of you have probably received an invitation to something called a recruitment showcase that the Office of Volunteer Engagement is sponsoring on January 31st. And it is only going to be an hour, but it's in response to people putting on their state plans that they needed help or had questions and concerns about recruitment. We talk about it here in these sessions, but we expect that this presentation, the showcase, will be even more intense and provide you with more details and with possibly one-to-one partnerships that can help each of us have the best 2023 we can in encouraging and supporting our volunteers. So just wanted you to know that that is coming up, and we will, I think invitations have already gone out, but we will also put that information in the portal chatter so that you can choose to attend if you wish. But it's 3 o'clock Eastern time on January 31st. And that first session is only for an hour. And I expect there will be great things that will come out of it. I want to thank Millie and Ron. I know that Mary asked for the spreadsheets, but you also indicated that you had possibly a survey and an after action report. We'd, of course, like copies of that so we can put that information out as well. So thank you. If you would just send that to me, that's dturner@aarp.org. And that's true for any items that wonderful people want to share. We'll put that information out. By Friday, we fully expect to have the final 12 topics, or it's 11 now because this was 12, for the rest of the year. The dates have already been selected. We're going to remain with the second Tuesday of the month at 2:05, keeping it to 45 minutes so that you can be able to do other things and get to your next meetings. So, but we'll send that. That will be one of the things that we'll send out. Will be the list of topics for the remaining 11 months of this year. And I think that's about it today. Mary, did you have anything else you'd like to share with the group?
Well, I just want to say what a prime example of this exchange has been today is not only the sharing of information and the easy exchange of those documents real time and that will be shared in the portal, but just the tremendous wealth of knowledge, expertise, energy, and resources all of you provide to each other. That makes me want to be here every exchange because I know that I'll learn something. I'll get to enjoy how it applies to AARP and other areas. And I take a little something that hopefully we can apply here in Michigan. I know several of my Michigan colleagues are on the call as well. And I hope that you all share and take. It's not stealing when we're doing it within the family. So it's just spreading the wealth. So Deborah, it's just a wonderful opportunity to come together and do that. And I appreciate everyone from, I don't know, almost 30 states today represented in the sharing of this information.
Well, thank you, Dr. Mary, and thank you, all of you, for attending today. We're going to give you the gift of 4 minutes back. So thank you very much. It's your gift of time. I did have that as a request for something we could have in 2023. Find a way to give more time to people. So you get 4 minutes today.
From Mary R. to Kelly Leffler, who worked on the peer mentoring program. I saw that in the chat. Thank you all for all that you do as staff support, as volunteer support, staff support volunteers, volunteer support staff. We support each other. We work together. We're all one big team.
Yeah.
Go AARP.
All right. Thank you all very much. We'll see you in
Wonderful
February.
day.
Bye.
See you next time.
Yeah, February. Bye, Ira.
Oh.
Okay. Some people are probably out doing some other things.
Double meetings.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Because you try to listen at the same time. So, Feinstein. Okay. Here you go. Got her. And Zach. In the waiting room. All right.
Okay, wow, Deborah. Turn off the recording.
Thank you. Since I didn't get it started on time. Do you want to stop recording?